go live. Now we're live. Hello, everybody. Sound is on. Switching over to the stream. Hello, everyone. Friends, pals, theys and thems. How are you doing, Cassie? I guess I should say that. We're going to waste a little time, maybe wait for some people to show up. We'll go over some stuff. So you're doing great. Tell me about that.
I'm doing so good. I'm working on a drawing. I'm so excited about it. And some cool 3D animation stuff. Well, maybe not animation, but at least 3D modeling.
Okay, 3D modeling, but eventual animation. My white balance is way off, guys. Forgive us.
It keeps freaking out.
Yeah.
It keeps freaking out, and then it goes back to normal.
There's a window over here. I don't know if that matters.
It's not even overcast. It's consistent out there.
Yeah,
and
it's in the shade
dark.
anyway. Yeah, I don't know.
But what else? Oh yeah, so I've been working on that sheer cave bat that we talked about in a previous stream, and been making a 3D model of that. So it's been really cool.
That is very cool. Yeah.
Hey Josh, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, people are here. Hello.
Awesome.
Almost completely new to D&D and found you guys a couple weeks ago. By far my favorite D&D channel. Hello, Zach.
Cool.
If I'm not mistaken,
Hey, Zach.
if you were the one that left those very extremely nice comments, and if it wasn't, you guys, everybody gets to hear the story. Somebody left 2 comments, I think it might have been Zach, about saying very nice things about Tabletop Terrorists, and I screenshotted them in the little app I have and sent them to Jeff and Tim in the WhatsApp. Like, hey guys, look, we got some really cool comments. So I think that was you, Zach. I think I recognize your picture. If it's not, leave some nice comments. That would be great. But hello, everyone.
Yeah.
But sorry, what were you saying? We were saying some hellos.
If I'm particularly ambitious, I might be able to rig it up and have a walking simulation. I don't know if maybe I'm shooting a little too far
Zach,
for something like that.
No, that's the thing. Eventually, like, if you think about it, as long as you don't suddenly decide that this isn't for you,
right?
You're gonna probably find yourself doing it. You know, so yeah. So I don't think that's bad. So, Josh says gonna be running Oath of the Frozen King / Mountain King.
Awesome.
This is very cool. We are currently working on another adventure kit right now. Turned in some writing for that on June 1st. Barker's going over it and stuff, and that's very exciting. Technically, they're in the cave. Okay. Okay. So what I wanted to start with, Cassie, is what I have up is just some like sort of random social contract notes.
Yeah, let me look at it too. Okay.
Oh yeah, you can see it kind of, right?
Yeah, I have the YouTube page.
I could send you the link, but this is just this is enough for us.
It's too late. It's too late for that.
That's okay. So we're gonna go over these and kind of talk about and it's more that these are ones I've compiled, but I want to make sure that you kind of throw in yours.
Okay.
We're gonna just kind of set some expectations.
Okay.
And then we're gonna play a role playing game that we kind of make up rules about. Obviously, we are starting and we know each other, so this is a little easier for us than other people. But
well,
yeah,
hopefully.
Go ahead. Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, hopefully. But I think we'll be on. I guess what I mean to say is we have an idea of the pages we're both on, and yeah.
We did our homework. We watched some movies. We got some context.
Yes. We did. We watched a bunch. We watched Beetlejuice. We watched just recently. We've been sort of on a movie kick. We watched
a little bit of Waterworld today.
A little bit of Waterworld today. We did a little bit of
Mad Max.
Beyond Thunderdome.
Thunderdome.
Yes. Absolutely.
I think that was it. But those were important.
We were. I told her. I talked about how we were going to look out for things in the world and for inspiration and stuff. And I've gotten a lot of inspiration. I'm very excited. But okay, so we're going to go over some things. Here's a good one. I'll rearrange them a little bit. Mechanics don't kill people, story kills people.
Okay.
In this case, we're not going to. We're going to have like hit points or something that signifies that, but we're not going to worry too much about that. If you fall really far, you're probably going to break a bone, and it's going to be really hard for you to get out.
Right.
But the point of the game is for you to see how you get out, not to see how you die.
Okay.
Right, this game. Is that okay? I guess I'm going over these, and I think we're on the same page. But I guess
these, I shouldn't have to fear dying easily.
Yes, you're going to swing from ropes and do things like you should be daring because you're not going to be worrying about if you fall on the spikes.
Okay.
Right? You're going to get hurt if you fall, and there will be risk. But we just want to make sure you're not like peeking over edges before jumping, into the water or whatever. Like we want an adventure game. And I'm going to be doing the same. Even if we haven't set something up, you have it, even if it would ordinarily seem unreasonable. This one is a little different, and we can play with it. Okay. But in a sense, I'm even okay with the thing you have on you is the thing you need. I want to explore that a little bit, right? Like, oh, you need a little hatchet. Oh my god, you have no idea what I brought, right? Like that sort of.
But I shouldn't have to ask you, did I bring rope?
Exactly. If rope is integral for the thing, you're like, I would have had rope. But like I said, even if it, like, there's another one here. It's everything is a conversation. This is probably like the cardinal one. It's always a conversation. You can say, listen, I want you to try to sell me on what you're doing. And I'm going to go, okay, you can get away with that.
Okay.
But you can't get away with this. Or I'm going to give you the, you know, and we're going to work on the same to try to set up the challenges where I'll tell you when to stop. You know what I mean? That's okay. But in the same fashion, another good one is I'm not here to trick you or punish you for saying what you're doing.
Okay.
For example, if I say, okay, so like you get control or you're trying to regain control of the cart, how are you driving? You know, and you tell me how you're really having trouble and not taking the reins. I'm not going to then say you crashed because of that. You know what I mean? It's part of the story that you have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it's also part of the story that you're probably going to do it.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. A lot of these things kind of set up the fact that you will be the protagonist, I think, and we're going to treat it that way. That doesn't mean you're not going to get kicked and bloodied and knocked down, but it does mean that you're going to have sort of I want to say irascible spirit, you know.
You always have to get back up. You have to get back up.
Exactly. That's kind of the story we're telling. And maybe you won't get knocked down that much, but that's the point.
Well, yeah. We'll see.
And so, okay, and that's the main thing. And then another good one is things exist in the world to some degree to serve the story, and that's okay. Sometimes you have the thing you need. That's the same kind of thing. So, and then the world should feel small enough to live in, big enough to get lost in.
All right.
So, hello, anybody else that's joining us. What world do you want to play in? Do you have any idea? I was thinking just sort of generic fantasy, maybe with a little bit of like Tinker, like Waterworld style tech.
I know. I'm leaning on Waterworld because it's so fresh in our mind.
So let's do very much that style. So what I was imagining is sort of... Well, actually, I'm just going to say it. Okay. I was imagining my pirate world.
All right.
And Waterworld has given me a lot of inspiration because I was limiting myself so much. Like, even just by like, oh, the boats should be wood. Like, I was thinking pirates, my concepts. I was sort of... But now I'm thinking more Waterworld where it's very low tech, but it's still a very well-made boat. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a weird mix.
Like the pontoon.
So, let's say a Waterworld type thing, but maybe it's not so much that there's no land anywhere. Okay. But you do spend a lot of time at sea. Similar to the way they do it, it's like sometimes to travel, it takes long, you know, and you need your stuff, and people are good at it.
So, we could also say that it could be we're in a trading kind of situation where we have to be on the water. It doesn't... Because there is dry land in this world,
there is
right?
dry land. Yeah. But it's like archipelago, so think the Caribbean, where there's dry land and there's little bits of it everywhere, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's livable everywhere. There are some small points you go to, big cities maybe,
perfect.
You know.
Because that coincides with the book that I'm reading right now.
That's perfect.
So
exactly.
Awesome.
That's great.
They call it the Pirate Isles, and they're all spread out, and there's some small, like, little backwater stuff, and
Yeah. So, and exactly, very much, like, take to that for inspiration for what should happen.
Yep.
But so, that's kind of the world we're going to play in.
Okay.
This piratey world. And what I think I want to try to do is you will sort of be the protagonist, and then I will be... We'll both potentially play other people.
Yeah.
But I want to, as the GM, be the other people in the story.
Okay.
I don't want... I don't know. I want to try some stuff out as GM, and so basically...
We're gonna experiment and try some
We're just gonna see, but you are sort of the hero of our story, and you might have sidekicks and different things, but like, if somebody tells you shouldn't be doing something, you know, you don't necessarily always listen to them. They're usually wrong. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
I get to be a little obnoxious brat and be like, no, I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah, kind of like that. So, I want to talk about your ship.
Yes.
Right? I want you to think about your character.
All right.
But I want to talk to you about the kind of ship you have. Josh says RPG, and I both love him and hate him for it. So, I want you... Oh, this was another big one.
What?
Say what you do and make someone stop you. Say the coolest thing and don't be afraid, right? That's one of the other things.
Oh, goodness.
I want to talk about your ship. You have a ship, probably sort of a one-person deal. It needs to be able to be piloted by one person, but that doesn't mean it can't be roomy. Thanks, Ty. He did a little cough. He got it out. He's good. He looked at both of us like, why are you looking at me?
That was a tame one. It's all right.
That was not bad at all, yeah. So, so let's talk about your ship. What's the coolest thing about your ship? We're gonna make, you know, just some stuff up. Like, and that's the thing. Say what you say the coolest thing and don't be afraid. So in Waterworld, his sail unfurls very quickly. That was like a boon, and that helps him in a lot of situations.
Had a good thing.
Yeah, so what do you think? It's good if it's like one of the main features. Like it has this thing that allows me to do this thing that...
I was about to say something silly.
Okay. No. Let's follow your instinct.
Air-powered, but like...
Okay, so Mythbusters did Mythbust that. I'm not necessarily willing to handle it. You can't put a fan on your boat and shoot air at the sail. That doesn't work. I don't think that's what you meant.
Oh, they did?
They totally tested it, and they're like, no, you can't do that. It doesn't work.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I imagine a giant ship with pulleys and ropes all around the wheel. Yes, yeah.
I was, gosh. Let's say, I was thinking more of like a pontoon, like the actual airboats that we have here with a big fan on the back.
Oh,
so something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Have one of those attached somewhere.
So, I love it.
Yeah.
What's the fan powered by?
I know, right? What if it's solar powered? What time frame are we in?
Well,
I was thinking...
Oh, excuse me. My cat sneezed. She's got snot all over her face. We're just not going to talk about it.
Are you good?
No, I'm good. It was mostly...
Mostly on her?
Yeah, she got kind of herself mostly on. Okay. But no. So, I forgot where we were. You said...
Is there magic in this world?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking think more pirate times. Think like... Okay. It can be technology. Think like Waterworld. We'll say Waterworld because we saw it. Basically, you have a fan boat. We're going to say that, right? Say what you say, the coolest thing, and don't be afraid. The thing is, I imagined it being a little bigger, right? That doesn't scale up
it's still going
super
to be
great.
Big.
So maybe you have some sort of boat with, like, you have propellers.
What if the propellers are instead, like, wind power or something, to try and get wind power? Like, just in general, so I have a battery or something, I can get electricity.
Okay, what if your boat is an old decommissioned plane?
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
And what you've done is you have it set up so that you use the propellers to propel yourself under the water. They, like, you made it so that you retrofitted it, basically, so that instead of the propeller being on the front, it's the other way around.
So I don't fly them.
So you don't. The thing is, there's a version of this story where eventually you get the plane working again. But as soon as I turned it around, we kind of lost that. But not really.
Because if the propeller works, like, are the wings chopped off, I guess? Like, maybe it's missing wings.
Well, and I was trying to think of a way that we get to keep both. Basically, I was trying to think of a way to make it so that part of the story is getting this thing flying again.
Yeah.
So if you can think of a way that we have a plane that does that, I'm into that.
What if it's, for the moment, maybe that's part of the story. Maybe that is a goal that I want to reach.
Absolutely.
So for now, like, the old wings got sheared off, maybe in a crazy storm. Maybe I messed up flying, piloting the ship. Airplane.
Like Waterworld, I imagine it more as a relic from another time.
Okay. Yeah,
not that you can't get it working, but that, yes, it's more like not an airplane anymore, really.
Got it. So I'm thinking of, like...
So you probably came across it at some point.
It's like it's an old passenger airplane, but there's ones that aren't too big, but had, pretty nice seats for, like, maybe 10 individuals.
Kind of like a Cessna or like a private plane.
Yes, somebody's private plane.
Private plane, exactly. Like where it's that medium size.
Yeah.
I don't know plane sizes.
But there's some... Oh, what if it... Okay. Think a skydiving plane. Because they're kind of big on the interior.
Yeah. Exactly. They have a huge... Exactly. You stand up and walk around and it's kind of empty. It's almost like a cargo plane. Yep. But not big enough for cargo. Mini cargo plane. Exactly. The cargo is people and they don't land with the plane.
Exactly.
Okay.
So something like that. So it has a nice big bottom and hopefully could float,
Okay, so so I imagine that the what is it? The fuselage? The whole middle part. Yeah. Is that what that part is?
Fuselage. Yeah.
I'm imagining that part is like the main bottom part of the ship.
Yes.
And something is built into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like something is built up. Like,
okay.
Like, what were you imagining? Like, how do you...
that was probably sitting low in the water, and I would have maybe, like, floaties on the outside. So it's just like a moving island for myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I've tried to rig up where the plane was, where the wings were, rather like some shades or something. But they don't stick out as far as an airplane wing.
Yeah. But so the main portion you're in, is there like basically a deck and then sort of the main hull area down underneath the water? I know there's a word for being underneath the water, but...
I see why I should have plugged in my tablet now.
Oh, so you could drop from mid? No. I didn't realize. Admittedly, this is just fun. We don't really have to get deep into the design of it. That's actually a part of it. Is not really worrying too much.
Logged in there.
So you have a ship.
Yes.
This old ship. A cabin. Yep. It has an area for food. It has an area it's relatively roomy for one person. Think of it's a 2-bedroom apartment on the water.
Just about.
You have sails.
Hi, Brianna.
No, hello, Brianna. Submerged. We
might as well say it's submerged. Yeah. Right? Isn't that what you...
Yes, I was just saying, I was now just describing things your ship had, so we both had an idea. But I think they're a little behind, so I think they're talking about the plane. But hello, Brianna. We moved on from the plane eventually, as your past self will know now.
I got this cool decommissioned plane. Wings have been sheared off, but this is my little island.
Exactly, it's your little island that you float around on. You have... We still don't know how it's powered. Fans, that's fine. If you have
we could let's just say there's a sail. I put a sail.
There's a sail on
it. Top
or
something.
Perfect. Maybe the propeller, one of the propellers does work, and you can use it for something. But you have a sail, right? Yeah. So you have a big sail, and it is. Josh kind of made a joke about it, and that's really how they do it in Waterworld.
Yeah.
It is like a series of pulleys and different things that you do because
it is.
You have to steer which direction the ship is going, how high or low the sail is, and where the sail is pointing. At the very least. That's like what Sea of Thieves does. So you would need the ability to do those 3 things, but we're going to say that you do. You know what I mean? This is a cool ship that is pretty unique.
I've connected to the aileron control or something, so if I move the pilot yoke or something, I can still kind of control the sail.
Oh, okay. I love it. I love that it's a pilot yoke as well, where you're in the cockpit and oh my gosh. So you fly from the actual cockpit, but it's a ship. Yes. I love that. Okay. See, stay the coolest thing. It kind of took us a little while to get there, but we're building a big part of the world, so I don't think that's a bad thing.
Sight lines, though, because we're low in the water.
Yeah, that's okay. But, and really what that means is you have a cool periscope is just what that means.
And Josh is so right. Yeah, it's basically a series of pulleys, so I think that would be
awesome. Exactly. A plane really is. So
we'll
yes, it's just, that's really, I love that it's in the cockpit and that you could wire things up where, I don't know,
We'd make that work.
Exactly. So... What that means is, now that we know you're on your ship, we don't know much about the world, but something that happens all the time is happening on your ship. You're there. You're on the water.
Yeah.
There's nobody else really around. Kind of a lazy day. No huge waves. You're not too far from an island. But we're going to start in a normal situation for you. Mm-hmm. So, are you... Maybe just fishing, maybe what's something that you do? It could be that you're salvaging. Think the first scene of Waterworld where he jumps off the ship and he's just going to look for something. Did you find something cool?
That's not the first thing he does.
That is not the first thing. That is the first thing. Yeah, that's not the first thing he does. We're going to skip a little ahead of Waterworld because it's an old movie and it doesn't have the highest rating, and we all know why. By the way, it was instruments and flight controls for very large planes. Oh, just using hydraulics.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
So, what are you doing on your ship? What do you think? Are you just you're dancing? Maybe you're listening to music?
Maybe I'm setting out some fish that I caught earlier in the day. I need to dry them so I can store them.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say it should also be something about your character where it should say something about your character. So in that sense, you would say that your character is what's the word? They are careful of the future. I can't think of the word, but they're looking ahead. They have forethought. You're preserving fish for later. You're not just fishing day to day.
Yeah.
Right. That means something. So we'll say that. The thing is, these aren't normal fish. They're really good.
Yeah.
And we were learning about fish today. I heard you were watching very cool bluefin tuna.
I know, right?
So let's talk about these fish.
Okay.
Why are you catching these fish? So it's a normal day. You're catching these fish. There's some special way you need to catch them. What is it about them?
I was going to say just opportunity. It's not every day you probably come across a shoal
of this type of fish.
In the middle of the water. Okay.
Right? Okay. You've come across...
You want
these
fish to be special.
And I did say it was sort of a normal thing that you were doing, and that's what I was looking for. But yes, now it's a normal thing, but it has an added bonus. These are special fish.
Okay.
In some way, right? Maybe they taste really good. Maybe they trade for a high value. Maybe it doesn't matter. We're just gonna say they're special, and we don't really know yet. But you want them.
Yeah, let's say it's good value.
So, you are going to...
Maybe it was a tuna. It was a giant tuna. I actually happened to catch a giant one, and I was like, hell yeah.
Maybe it's a single large tuna, right? Like, because that would be worth so much. But you have a lot of... Okay.
Like, and that would mean, like, I can't preserve all of it. It's just myself, so I have to get back to town and actually sell some of it off.
Exactly.
So we can say that.
Yes. So, so we're going to say that it's pretty big.
Okay.
It's usually a deep water sea creature.
Yeah.
Right? And you have found one in the shallows? Like what, how did you,
So I'm imagining, like, kind of
If you want to describe it, right?
Oh,
okay, we're playing a role play.
All right.
You don't have to, like, be eloquent or beautiful. You can do exactly what you were going to say, but consider that you should try to talk about it in world, if that makes sense. You don't have to worry too much about that, and you can say, but you see what I mean?
I decided to look at my map, and I knew about these big fish that come to spawn in, like, this one little area near our islands, but I decided to take the risk. Usually you really need a team of people to go out and really make it worth it, but man, I've been needing this fish. If I could catch just one, then I could be comfortable for a little while. Maybe upgrade my house.
Usually you need a team of people to catch a lot of these fish to make it worth it, but if one person can catch one, they could live like a king for a little while, or a queen, potentially. Yeah,
and I think it'll be worth the risk, and man, I heard they're like delicacies these days.
Now, and that's the important thing. So now, as the GM, what I'm going to tell you is if you catch this fish, you are going to have to do something with it quickly.
Yeah.
You're going to have to find a way to preserve it, potentially, and we might have some roles associated with that. The other thing is, depending on what happens while you catch it, is going to decide the quality. If you beat this thing up and get it,
oh my God,
it may not be worth it. So I, as part of the game we're playing, I want to warn you about some of the things that could happen. Because these are things you would knowing to catch it, right? You need it pristine. So
I was thinking of another, like, thing to toss in there.
Yeah.
If I am,
anything like that.
So if I'm suddenly gutting this big fish out in the semi-open ocean, let's say, like, these things are coming in to spawn, they come to the warm water, so I'm happen to catch an adult. Which is awesome for me.
Exactly. It's a little bit of a luck thing that you've come across this.
But why not? So shoot, where was I going with it?
Oh, you were talking about how...
I was going to grab it.
One more thing to throw in, like something that can go wrong, basically.
I'm gutting it, but I need to basically drain the blood out. So, like, maybe I'm going to attract a shark or something else.
Okay, yeah. That's perfect. We're going to kind of keep some of those things. I did share some, but... to show it off, and I do and I do appreciate that. Like, I want you to, that's perfect. I guess I should do nothing to limit things like that.
Yeah, welcome, Cole.
Hello. Oh yes, people are showing up. Hello, Cole. Caught part of this. Very exciting. We're really just getting into it.
Yes.
Cassie's character, we can give you a moniker like the Man with No Name, or like Mariner in Waterworld, or you can come up with a name. What am I going to call your character? How do I refer to your
Marrow.
character?
That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Perfect. So you're Marrow.
Yeah.
So Marrow is currently saw something that gave her the impression.
I know that it's the right time. We've had the fishermen on their big tuna fleet. Like, there's one good fisherman in my town that has, like, a good team, and they went out saying, hey, the tuna are here again.
Okay.
So I'm on my little... Well, it's not rinky-dink, but
but it's not a fishing ship.
Yeah, it is not a fishing ship, but I decided to risk it and go look for myself when I tried to follow them on my significantly slower ship.
I do like that. Here's what I want to do. I want to do the dog is just begging for attention while we talk to the ghosts in the computer. Right. He doesn't understand computers. I sat him down and tried to explain it to him, and at the end he said,
he just doesn't get it.
No habla inglés. It was really uncomfortable. He should have told me a lot sooner. Marrow.
Yes.
We are going to do a scene.
Okay.
You have done something that people think is stupid. There's a place you go to get the tuna, and you heard a story about a way that you could catch them, right? A kind of a clever story.
Yeah.
And what you were describing, you were like, you found one where you shouldn't usually find one. This is a story people tell, but nobody waits for the one. You know what I mean? The fishermen go to where the fish are.
Yes.
I say all that because what that means is at some point, you met the captain of this other fishing boat when he came in, or at the very least, you were probably in the same tavern as him.
Yes.
So what I want to do is I want to play that scene. It's gonna be relatively short, but we're gonna just set up a few things and talk about what that would look like to set up you going to get this fish.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you are on the way, and you're right now. We backed up a little bit. You're still looking. You haven't spotted one yet, but you have an idea. You really think there's going to be one, and there's good reason to believe it. People think that it's kind of a wives' tale, but right?
Yeah.
So we're going to cut back to the tavern. You're sitting maybe in the corner. What would you be drinking? What would Marrow drink? Alcohol, or would it be more like eating and drinking? You're just there for dinner because you've
probably
got
there for dinner.
You're just there for dinner, kind of keeping to yourself.
Yes.
Maybe in a corner, and somebody bursts in the door. It's the captain. We're gonna quickly describe him. He's got a big, white beard, and he's the grizzled captain that you've seen, the grizzled, fishing captain.
Yes.
And he comes in and he announces to the whole bar, "A round for everyone." And in fact, he throws a frozen tuna up on the bar, and it slides a little bit. And "A round for everyone. The tuna are back in the wherever they are." There's like a phrase they say.
Yeah.
It's a big day when the tuna come back.
Yes.
And so he throws it up on the bar while you're in there. What are you thinking? Right? You'd be imagining the things in your life. Why are you going for a tuna? You're sitting there eating maybe a meager meal, maybe not. Tell me what I described to you. What does that look like from Marrow's perspective?
I know that tuna are hard to come across, and they're hard to catch because they usually are so big. And that they're worth a lot of money. I mean, I'd love some of that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but okay, so you're sitting eating. Tell me about what you're eating. Is it just bread and cheese? Do you have a lot of money, or is it a little bit of money some of the time? You know what I mean? Is it feast or famine, where you spend a lot when you have a lot, but you save, or is it just...
I can subsist on my boat pretty well, so I don't often need money, but if I need to repair something, maybe.
Yeah, you were in town just for the evening when the tuna came back. It was actually lucky, because if you find out early, you have a higher chance of potentially finding one that's been separated. Once the season started, there's no chance to find one potentially where you think you're going to find
Or I can, but if you get too close to the tuner fishermen, they do have a bigger boat than me. They can try and chase me out, if they
Yeah, exactly. You have no business being there, and it's probably licensed, whatever, So...
I'm just they'll be like, "You'll just scare them away."
Yeah. So you see this captain, and by the end of the night, I guess you wouldn't be there later. Maybe later you're outside of the bar or somewhere else in town, and you see him stumble by. The same captain, totally drunk.
Yeah.
Maybe holding some sort of souvenir from the tuna, he's got the tail or something. Something they chopped off before they put it in the freezer, and it's the thing they've been passing around all night in the bar.
Just look how big it is.
Yeah.
Here's proof.
So, yeah. So you're on your boat. We're gonna get some dice.
Okay.
What is your practice? What are you gonna roll that gets you to catch fish? What do you call this? You're tracking a fish. I don't know. You know what I mean?
So I think, I guess it would be luck. I want to find the fish that it eats.
But I'm saying if you had scientific knowledge about this, what would it be? What would? It's not called tracking. It's fishing, right? We're just gonna call it fishing.
Just call it fishing. For now. Yeah.
So Marrow has we don't know what Marrow's fishing skill is yet, but probably pretty good, right?
Pretty decent, yeah, because I got to fish for myself.
So how are you going to catch this tuna?
So, all I have is my pole, and I know that these fish have to keep moving, so I'm not going to sit in one place. But I want to look for mackerel. I want to look for the thing that they eat.
Okay, but here's the thing. You would have had time in town to get whatever you needed. What's the best way to catch one single tuna? Would you need a net? Could you grab... think of the way you would catch a tuna if you could,
I would want one of the hooks they use to haul them onto the boat.
Okay, yeah. So you want a hook? Is that it? You have a pole. What else would you get? Maybe you could scrounge some money together, and you got a few supplies. What would that be? Like you said, a pole.
Suppose a net. Yeah.
Yeah, a net. That's what I mean. Big old net. How? What's the best way to catch a tuna? I don't know. You would get to plan basically. So. Okay. So you have a net and stuff. So now there's a tuna. Tell me, how do you use these things? Do you know? You know what I mean?
I don't know a lot about actually tuna fishing, so it makes it.
And that's okay.
So I'm I don't know what answer to give you.
Okay, so let me say this then. You have a net.
Yeah.
You're on your ship, and you're looking all about. Maybe you're running.
I've done very little fishing, also. I don't have a lot of context.
Oh, no, that's okay. I guess what I'm saying is, like, I'll describe a more specific situation, because I'm trying some things out, too. And it's perfect of you to say, hey, I don't really know the answer to your question. That's good. That's what I'm looking
I
for.
figured that's what you wanted.
Totally. So, you're on your boat.
Yes.
It's pretty close to the water, right? Or are you very high up over the water and you'd have to, like, get in a... You know what I mean? Like, if the tuna's in the water, how close are you to it?
I imagine, so basically, it's going to be in the water, and the regular, like, passenger windows are maybe, like, 2 feet above the water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's, like, in the water. So you could be on top, like, on a little deck.
So I would be on top.
And you would be able to, like, reach down and touch water. Kind of like his boat in Waterworld.
Yes.
It'd be 2 feet. You know what I mean? Like, you might be able to... But, like, you could throw a net over the edge, and it's not, 10 feet, whatever.
Yeah.
So, you're on your ship, and you're currently steering it. You're looking around. So what signs are you looking for? You said mackerel.
Yeah.
So you see...
So I'm looking for birds on the horizon. I'm looking for a bunch of birds on the horizon. I've followed the tuner fishermen. I can't say tuner.
Tuna fisher. That's the hard part. Tuna... it's when the words are together that they get really difficult.
Tuna fishermen.
Tuna fishermen.
Yes. So, I followed their direction. And I'm looking for birds, which will be trying to feed on fish if they're close to the surface or something.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to look for.
Okay, so you need to take out your spyglass.
Yes.
Tell me about your spyglass. Is there anything special about it? Is it
it's a
cheap one?
It's a little rickety these days. I've dropped it a couple times.
Maybe it has a crack in the lens.
It's actually sometimes the lens a little foggy.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's like something got in there. Maybe some water got in there, and sometimes it like
moisture.
Fogs up or something. When it rains, it gets bad.
When it rains, it's the worst. But it's fine. Otherwise, it's fine.
So
it works.
You're looking through your spyglass. What I want you to do is I want you to give me a. You're gonna roll a d8, and you're gonna add your intuition.
Okay.
You have 2 mind stats: your knowledge and your intuition. Your intuition, for the purposes of this, is 2.
Okay. And I got a 7.
Okay. So. That is a D...
8? Yeah, 8.
That is a D8. And so what we're going to do is we're going to break the D8 up.
Okay.
And you and I have talked about this, but I'm going to describe it real quick. You're going to break the D8 up into... we're going to divide it by 3, right?
Okay.
So you have 3 sections. You have 1 to 4, 5 to 7. No, 5 to... I'm not doing the math, and I really started thinking about it too much.
He's getting there.
No, we need a D12. I'm sorry. I had the wrong die. I was like, that doesn't make sense. I picked the wrong dice out.
I should have said something, but I was like, no, James is confident.
And as soon as I was like, wait, this math does not make any sense. Okay, so D12.
Welcome, Pig Pug. It's okay. We're finally using dice.
So yes, yeah.
It came at the perfect time.
So, D12. That makes more sense. 1 to 4.
Can I still use that 7?
Yes, yeah. Because 7, because 7 is great. So that makes a lot more sense. You divide it by 4, and then so it's 5 to 8, like it should be. 9.
And then 8 to 12.
I'm so confused. Oh, because it's 12. I should have did this before. It's hard with the inclusive and non-inclusive. What?
Never mind.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah.
Yep, we're good.
It's weird to try to split it out like that. Sorry for making everybody watch that. But the point is, if you roll 1 through 4, that is bad. If you roll in the middle, that's neutral, and if you roll on the top, that's positive. That's good.
Yeah.
So bad. I know like a few Spanish words. Neutral.
We're learning.
Yes. And good. Actually, we know them all. We know all these. Yeah. I don't know if that's real. So there's no reason to do that. So you rolled a 7.
Yes.
And that is... Oh, and that was including your 2?
No.
Okay, so that's 9. You have a 2 intuition. So you're looking, and you know... you can kind of feel the breeze, and you see there's maybe a device on your ship that it's like a little weather vane, it shows.
Yeah.
And so you're looking, I don't know, downwind. You know where to look, right? And you spot some birds flying around something, seagulls up above. And so what I need you to do is describe how you pilot your ship, pulling different series of pulleys and things to go that direction.
Awesome.
With haste, trying to hopefully get maybe a tuna.
So basically I go down below decks, which means I'm in the main part of the plane. In the middle of it going through the top, I made a mast. There we go. I have a mast already there, and basically from the bottom I have a little gear that I get to go, a little crank that I gotta do, and on the roof of the plane is the sail. So that's gonna go up. Then I'm gonna go into the cockpit and use the yoke to change the ailerons from the tail end of the ship to be the rudder, essentially. Like, I've hooked it up so that there is wood or some kind of material, probably whatever's not going to be eaten up by salt too badly.
And exactly, you'll probably be replacing it all the time. So this week it might be wood, but you might find a nice metal sheet that keeps one in condition for a while.
But I have something set up so when the ailerons change and whatnot, that will change the rudder as well. So there. And
so you climb into the cockpit, and like you said, you hold the yoke and you kind of slowly maneuver it. If you move it too quickly, you might break some part. This is no longer a plane anymore.
Yes.
And similar to a plane, maybe it does give you a little bit of resistance, and you start.
It would, because it's all like jerry-rigged in the back to try and get it to work as a rudder.
Exactly. So you hear the creaking. You know which directions exactly are going to stress the cables that really need replacing, but hard to come by, some sort of steel cable or something good enough, rope maybe for certain things.
Yeah.
So you steer toward, you see the birds spiraling.
Yes.
And you're getting closer. Suddenly, though, you see another ship on the horizon.
Correct.
Who would you not want to see out here? We can come up with like a single word like they do in Waterworld of like something.
The smokers. That's
like smokers, or they did the slavers, like something that is just like, we don't have to talk much about them, but who is it that you're like, man, I really don't want it to be this ship. We could come up with the name of a fake country, like it. You don't have to worry about it. It just has to. What is it?
Maybe it's somebody who.
Is it the Dutch? I don't know why they're
the
in pirates.
Dutch.
They were pirate times.
Pirates. Maybe it's somebody who somebody else who thinks they own that area, so that part of the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
I'm a little peasant that's like just trying to get my share, and they're like, "What? You can't do that over here."
Okay, so they're imagine that these people are kind of like this world's equivalent of bandits on the road telling you needed to pay them a toll.
Yeah.
When they come across you, they kind of harass you and mess with you. I love something in Waterworld that we're just going to put in. If you do see somebody, the rule in that world is you have to trade something. And sometimes that just means like, oh, hello. It's like it's a thing people say, and it's a thing in the world, but it doesn't really mean anything official. But only uncivilized people wouldn't do something so simple. You know what I mean? It's kind of how I see it. So these people don't do that. They're the bad guys.
Yeah.
Thing is, they may not care to bother you, but you do see them.
Yeah.
But they're pretty far away. But okay, we're gonna keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
So you get closer to where the birds are circling, and I don't know. I guess you got to drop anchor, right? Are you gonna stop, or do you want to maybe circle it a little bit? What would be the protocol? I guess you still got to see if there's mackerel and then thus tuna, right?
Yeah. So I'd probably in that area, if I am able to stop, I don't know what kind of anchor I would have, because I feel like it's continuously moving unless you're at the dock, right? Mm-hmm. Almost. At least that's the impression of Waterworld. Is that
yes, really in Waterworld there's not really. You could certainly have a device that slows you down. Yeah. There would be something. That's a good point. Rather than something that drags on the ground, it might need to be something that just like what is it, like air brakes, on a plane that just kind of come out and slow you down or help you turn, maybe stuff.
I'm sure there's something to that, but
exactly.
Worry about it too much.
But basically, so then we're not stopping. Really, you're gonna we're gonna circle around maybe,
or I will at least slow down. I'm probably gonna drift a little, but I'm going to try and fish. I know, right? Look up tuna fishing on Wikipedia. That's what I need to do.
And there is a world in which we figure out how to really catch tuna, but the point of the game is to not have to know how to catch tuna, because if neither of us knows, then this is how you catch tuna. And I've seen like a little bit, whatever. But okay, so
anyways, I have my own pole, so I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can catch some of those feeder fish, basically, because I know that the tuna like them. And if if the mackerel is here, tuna are going to be coming soon.
Okay, so I do see on your character sheet that there is a net.
Yes.
Right? You have a fishing net. You might be able to, you'd have to roll and you have to do well, but you might be able to get some of the mackerel in the net and potentially later use it as bait for the tuna if you want it to follow you.
Yeah,
maybe you can like scare one away. So here's the thing. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pilot the ship and get the net in the right place to catch the mackerel.
Yes.
So, what I need you to do is
Hold on. You're right, Josh, but we did decide that this guy does not have wings. My plane does not have wings.
If you could fill the wings with eater, that's probably a military term. Water. Oh, okay, sorry. He did it right there. I'm so bad I didn't do the next one. Water, that makes sense. Oh, but you were saying because it doesn't have...
it has sheared off wings.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm
using the body of it.
Using the body. And Pigpug says if we're talking about a tuna, it involves a harpoon. Yeah, Cassie has like one of those big hooks. She's gonna. Well, I think. Yeah.
I wasn't sure about harpoon. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna wait on that.
We're
maybe
gonna
that's
scroll back up.
I want.
Say the coolest thing and don't be afraid. Maybe there's a harpoon. We'll see.
I think it would be badass if you had to beat down a tuna with just the hook. You know.
That's true. Crazy. I don't know. We're gonna see if you can do it. But okay, so
we're gonna see if I can do it.
We're gonna see if you can do it. Let's see if you can catch some mackerel.
Okay.
So this is going to be your ship piloting skill.
I need to roll. What am
sailing small vessels. So you're gonna roll that.
Okay.
Sailing small vessels. How good of a sailor are you? You can be good at some things and good at... I guess you're always out, so you're pretty good at sailing.
I should be pretty decent.
You should be... That's true, because you generally live on your boat, right? So yeah, you're pretty good at sailing. So what I want you to do is to your die, whatever you rolled, I don't know yet.
It was a 3.
Okay, I wanted you to add a 3.
Okay, so 6.
So 6. Here's the thing. That's neutral.
Okay.
What that means is, on your first try, you're driving through, there's the sort of... I'm imagining that thing that happens when there's a bunch of little splashes on the top of the water.
Yeah.
Where all the fish are congregating.
Yes.
You're trying to just, grab some, right? It's like every RPG you've seen, the little thing where you put the fish and pull, you get it. But okay, so you have... you're going to set the net up to kind of be dragging, right? And you need to steer it in, and that's what your roll was. We got neutral. So you're going through, and you're able to steer close enough, and the net grabs a couple in there, and then one of the knots you tied comes untied. It wasn't your fault, actually. Maybe it was the net. It was old rope. That's a better way to put it. It shouldn't be based on your skill. You tied the rope perfectly. So good that instead of coming untied, the rope broke and let some of the mackerel out. So you see the... What?
Just what's going on in the chat,
No, that's
Josh.
great. Okay, yeah.
Fish hooks are invitations, harpoons are invitations.
And I love that Cole said, based, I think, on what you said, beat down.
I did.
Yeah, I missed it. A hook and a baseball bat, more like straight fish hooks. A spear might do the deed.
Knitting needle
duct tape to a yardstick.
That's gonna snap so fast.
We can definitely try a game where we play MacGyver and we see what's on your boat, and you get a knitting needle and
Christ.
Where you can build a harpoon. No, so with your neutral, basically what that means is you were able to successfully do it and pick up some fish, but then it released and they got out. So you can try it again if you want. You can't tell, but the last time you looked at the did we decide a name for them? We didn't even come up with a...
Oh my god, we didn't.
The people.
The people.
When you saw the people.
When I saw the people on the horizon.
The pooples. They shouldn't be called that.
No.
The peoples with 2 E's. I wanted to... Yeah, the peoples.
Pooples?
We'll figure out why they're called that. You know what? That's what kids call them.
Yeah.
Well, be careful, the peoples are going to get you. Like, don't tell me about the pooples. Some little kid is yelling about the pooples.
No, that sounds like a Trailer Park Boy thing.
That's a Trailer Park Boy. The pooples. It's okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Absolutely, Ricky would say that. So, the peoples. So you see a ship of the people on the horizon, and it seems like they might have gotten a little bit closer, but we've got more important things to worry about right now. Did you want to try it again?
Yeah, but now I have to fix my net, right?
Yeah. So okay, you'll need to fix the net exactly, and that's what I imagine happening is when I say things like that, you would then describe to me the thing you need to do, right? You know you need to fix the net. Yeah. So it's almost like what I would like a player to do is to give it to them and you describe, as though you were the GM, what you're doing to get ready for the next pass. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
You want to take a shot at that?
Sure. hauling up the now empty net, right? Not even one fish? Not even one fish?
A couple fish. No. Like
fish.
maybe there were a few like still in there because if it was tied in 3 places, one of them came out. So a lot of them spilled out, but pulling it up, a few would have, maybe you found a boot in there too. Like there was something, like some debris. Yeah, there was
floating
like, you caught
boots?
a few things, but.
Floating boots and mackerels.
It's a boot because that's what you get in every role-playing game when you get trash. Like something. So what if this were a game that I wrote? Okay. What we would do is
that a foot in it?
I like that it has a foot in it. I would say boot, and another character would say that's too anachronistic. Let's come up with, or maybe I would. Let's come up with what it is instead. Like what's the equivalent of the boot in a world like this? Is it like what's the thing you have a bunch of that nobody cares, or if you only have one of is worthless? Yeah. Like a set of anything. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. A common one in that case being boots. That's why. You know what I mean? Okay. What is one boot? So that's part of why.
Anyways. So I go ahead and I pull up my net, and I am very grateful to see that there's a couple mackerel that are kind of stuck by their gills in the netting. Thank goodness. As for the boot that may be a moccasin, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. People throw boots in the ocean. There's just so much junk. So much garbage.
So much junk. There's a whole lot.
I take out this boot, and to my horror, there is a bone sticking out of it. So I decide to just chuck it back in the water because
throw it back in. No thanks.
I don't want that. Thank you.
Gonna tie your net back up.
So I'm gonna put my net on my lap, and I look on the horizon. I see those boats that are still getting a little bit closer, but I dutifully go ahead and tie up that net and make sure that I put the other fish in a little bucket. I got my little bucket with seawater.
And I imagine you actually also have a sort of makeshift thing that you're eventually going to put the tuna in. Right? Like there's like what?
I didn't think about that.
That's okay. But that's that's one of the social contract things. It doesn't matter if you thought about it, but you would have thought about all this, right? So that's perfect. But we're going to kind of pretend you did. I really love what you did about saying the fish you caught, right? You said you got some. You said, like, you took multiple liberties, and I had to stop you on none of them, and that was better. For example, finding the foot in the boot. You did ask me, but the perfect game would be eventually getting in the groove with players and figuring out how to explain how to do this.
Yeah.
Where you say, there's a foot in the boot, and surprise me with it. Like, I think there's a world where you get to be the GM almost as much as I do. I'm just controlling more of the world, and you're controlling the stories, but we all get to describe cool stuff,
So, on that note, I could say, this boot was actually a military boot. And it had...
Give me as much as you have.
And it has the last name of Gordon on it. Sergeant Gordon. From another time. I have no clue. I chuck it back in the water.
Even that is, like, beautiful. Because now, Sergeant Gordon, his name's going to come up again. He was somebody. You know him. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. So, obviously, maybe not in this session, but if we're good, Sergeant Gordon is going to come off that other boat.
Or his son.
Or his son, Captain Gordon's son. Oh yeah, right. You found his boot.
Gordonson.
Okay. So
Junior.
Gordonson Jr. Exactly. So you.
Gordon Jr.
Tie the net again, right?
Yep.
And you're gonna maybe try again.
Yep. I definitely want to get at least a couple more, and then go ahead and see if I can find the tuna or go back out to those fishermen, although I could just wait here because the fish are right here. The tuna are probably going to show up, right?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So what maybe what you'll do is you'll capture some in there. Yeah. Exactly. You came upon a school of fish that nobody else has seen yet, and you're going to play it cool because yes, it is just like if you just wait in the wings.
It just dawns on me. Like maybe if I'm just patient. Like, what if the fishermen are wrong and the school already moved,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah. So then what do? You kind of maybe go a little bit, but you're, do you slow down? Do you, like, maybe keep a holding pattern? Like, what does it look like for you to be exploring?
I'm probably going to keep a holding pattern as much as I can and just keep an eye on the top of the water where the mackerel are and see where they're going, if at all. Yeah.
Your ship has a type of autopilot.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Here's the thing. It's super duper simple.
Tell me.
It's just pulleys. You can set you can basically set the things and set them perfectly. And what that means is you could make it so that you set it up to go in a circle around the island.
Basically.
If you set your sails and everything else, you can make it so that it will generally hold the pattern. Once it goes around enough, you'll have to course correct occasionally.
Yeah.
But basically, that allows you to not have to drive the ship all the time and just be on it while it's moving.
Got it.
So you can like run around and do stuff and shoot people and look in the water at stuff,
That'll be great.
So, maybe that's what you're doing.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing that, and basically, in this world, I can just see the mackerel. I know it's hard to see actually underwater, from up above sometimes, but we see it. We know that it's in this area, so I'm going to go ahead and hold pattern and wait until I see the water really starting to rise, because that means that something is coming up, something's starting to get the mackerel, which I'm sure is going to be tuna.
Right.
Maybe it's not.
I am in love with that, because you basically just set up the next thing. Here's the thing. We've been talking a lot, and we've been doing a lot. It's time for this darn tuna to show up, right? Okay. So,
or something.
Or something. You're waiting, and like you said, you start to see something coming up. Do you want to decide, or do you want to roll randomly to see if it's a tuna or something else that sort of like maybe looks like a tuna? Maybe there is a reason you shouldn't hang around schools of fish in areas like this.
Yeah.
Who knows? What do you think? Do you want it to be the tuna, or do you want something else? Or do you want to roll to decide if it's tuna or something else?
I want to roll.
Okay.
Let's roll.
So, evens odds, any die you want.
Okay.
One means you get to do what you want, and one, I don't know. You got to choose two things.
Odds mean...
okay. One means it's a tuna. One means it's not. Odds means it's a tuna?
Odds means it's tuna.
Okay.
Okay. It's a 10. It's an even.
Okay, so it's not a tuna.
Correct.
You see something coming up from the water. How close did you say you were? See, and okay, this is the case. How close would you be? Not...
Yeah. Oh, so I would be probably...
Don't be afraid. Just tell me what is true.
I would be sitting on top of the plane and...
But like pretty close, like 5 feet away from this thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So something coming up from below. Like you see what looks like a tuna, pretty big, and then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And it just barely breaches the water, but a whale comes by. Maybe a relatively small one, I don't know, we were kind of in the shallows-ish, but a whale, comes by and just like kind of takes just like a chunk of this little school, and just like dives back down and I don't know, just kind of disappears.
I have a better one.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll hold on to the whale to paint you
but it's like
it
kind of doesn't work. But yes, paint me a visual, please.
As for that, whales coming up, it actually made a bubble net. It's trapping this mackerel, and I'm actually like right on top of it. I don't know that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So unknown to me, another whale is actually coming up from the center, and what it does is bumps my whole ship, and with the edge of its mouth, I almost find myself swallowed by it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's slow that down a little bit. That's perfect. Because what you said is it comes up from the bottom and hits your ship.
Yeah.
It rocks it a little bit, and you are now in a position where you could fall into this thing's mouth. Okay. So you're on your ship. You were maybe looking through your spyglass. You need to roll me I'm going to go with body. What do you think? Strength or agility? Are you going to...
Agility.
Oh, you're going to do agility. Okay. So what are you doing? You are grabbing onto something. You're swinging on something. What does it look like? You're boat is pitching. What you're imagining, just describe as though I know what you're talking about. How do you not fall in this thing's mouth? And then we're going to roll and see.
So I think I'm a little bit lucky. So I'm standing on the top of my ship, and as I'm leaning over to kind of look down, and I see something coming up. It's the lower jaw of this whale. Its chin is basically coming up, and it heavily brushes the side of my ship, which sends my ship up, which means I tumble backwards.
Okay, yeah.
But of course, my plane isn't that wide, so I imagine I'd have to roll agility at this point.
Well, okay, right? Yeah. So basically what happens is it pitches up, and so rather than you falling in its mouth, you might fall off and could be attacked by other sea creatures.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to say, like,
okay.
some people in chat are talking about, like, radar and stuff, and we haven't decided really if I have any electricity on this plane or not. Like, if I have that kind of
and I don't think so. It's not really that sort of technology.
No,
honestly, anything that could get wet probably doesn't live on this ship.
Yeah.
Like that. Sorry, that could get wet. That would be destroyed by getting wet.
Yeah.
anything that could get wet is going to be bad now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so not you don't have any radar. That would be an easy way to find a fish. I think.
It would be. That'd be cool. But anyways.
So it's pitching up, but you're falling over. What sorts of things? Is there like maybe netting or like ropes or something? What are you grabbing? What are you reaching out for as you pitch over?
So the mast is up there. So of course, number one, I would try and hold on to that.
Are you holding your hook?
Probably, because
you're holding it in your hand. And this is like a long stick coming up. Exactly, right. So yeah. Roll, you, as you're falling back, like you said, you're holding on to the mast.
Tumble back. I was holding on to the handle of this thing,
and so you try to swing it out and like catch anything on the ship.
Catch
hopefully
the mast,
wood mast.
Like the ropes or something on the sail.
Exactly, all kinds of stuff. But we're gonna see good, bad, or neutral.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
Roll.
It counts. It counts.
It counts because it's high. That's good. Okay, so that's really good. So what that means is. 9 is good, and honestly, I'm gonna make this up on the spot because we don't have to talk about why. You have skills. You usually add things to them.
Yes.
You got a natural good. Is what we're gonna call it.
A natural good.
That means that you rolled a 9 or higher automatically. So even adding your thing, you're already in the good zone.
Yeah.
So you don't even need to add more. But it's important that you did so naturally.
Yes.
That means that you, in some way, the pitching of this boat helped you maybe, or did something else that like. You did it. You do this so easily. Like this ends up showing off how agile you are. That being your boat being bumped is no problem.
Yeah.
We can respond to people. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say hovercraft would be definitely a cool future setting though.
That would Isles, and I could see something in this like being a hovercraft in a world like this where it's cobbled together technology. Think like Harbinger, maybe not quite as tech. Harbinger on water in a sense where it's like this. Very cool mishmash of low tech and high tech. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
I think Cole has a great question of why don't we have more hovercraft in RPGs?
That's true. Hovercrafts are so 90s to someone that grew up in the 90s. I know that's stupid.
I guess the hoverboard, Marty McFly. That's the tiny one.
But what's interesting is we were so busy asking if we never thought to ask why. Like I don't know. The reason there's never any hovercraft is because they're worthless. But it would be really cool in a watery world because something that actually does have, I can see.
Water world.
It is a very cool
and
idea.
say put some sci-fi tech and see what happens.
Yes, a little more sci-fi, exactly. Because they have like some. Honestly, that's what's cool is it's really basic but complex. Basic. I don't know. Yeah, doesn't matter. We're getting off track.
That's a good question for another time.
That is a very because I'm like really what Cole is saying is give me a hovercraft in this game. And I'm like all right, we can make that happen. So the peoples have hovercrafts.
The peoples.
I don't know who they are or what, but
the ones who think they own the ocean have.
Because we're gonna figure out what. Yeah, the ones that think they own the ocean. I love it.
This plane does not fly in this world.
Yes, no, we really were holding on to it. Oh, I'm still confused about how the plane generates light. So I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Though it is a plane, it is on the water. This is a water ship. We do keep calling it a plane, and people tuned in later, that is not your fault. I'm very sorry.
It's a boat.
This is a boat on water, but it is built.
Happens to be an old plane.
From the remnants of an old plane. That when we were originally conceiving of it, we really wanted it to fly because I've seen that be done well. But then the more we talked about it, the more that didn't make sense because it just So I'm very sorry.
We tore the plane apart.
They're catching. Actually, I guess we were talking about fish. I don't know. We're catching space.
Oh my god! So I got hit by a whale. Basically, miraculously,
You're pitching back, right?
So we pitch back. I tumble backwards, and immediately I'm starting to scrabble for the top of the plane. But it's beautifully smooth because it's a plane. So with one hand, I go ahead and take that hook and just lash out, hoping that I'm going to catch onto something. And it does actually thunk right into the mast. And thankfully, the boat starts to fall back down with a nice little crash while I see the whale just rising up over top of it. And then it comes back down, which sends my boat again rocking.
Yeah, another one. But okay, so you got a good. So yes, you get it into the mast and you're holding on. And you're able to watch this all like hanging on and being able to brace yourself. Now you've got this hook caught into the mast and you're holding it and holding the mast as you're watching all this, waiting for your boat to kind of, even out, normalize again. And then the whale, as it's leaving,
as it goes
blows
back
some
down.
air. Yeah, blows some air out and gives you a little tail splash and kind of disappears.
Now I'm all wet and it stinks. Ugh.
Exactly. But
okay.
You see a fin.
I do?
You do.
Oh,
you
gosh.
Now, in the chaos of the whale,
yeah,
a tuna decided that it was time to feast on.
Oh my god, they actually showed up.
Mackerel. That's the thing. There were a few that decided to come see, but one so far was brave enough after the whale.
Yeah.
But they just can't resist all this fish. So you are now up on the mast, kind of connected to it, but you see a tuna, and it's like, I don't know, what would it do? Like circle, kind of waiting. Don't they just go through the school and like take chunks
dart
out?
through it. Yeah.
So that's what it's doing. It's sort of lining up, and maybe it's trying to corral them a little bit.
Yes, Cole, the whale gave me the finger.
The whale, yep, yeah, right.
That's my fish.
Pig Pug, it's a plane with no. Yeah, I'm sorry, Pig Pug.
That's okay.
It makes a bit more sense. I do come in. My plan was to write more notes in the document, but I can't do that and talk. And every time I have great plans to do that, but it would slow everything down so much. So I never can do it.
I think that would be a super lucky dice roll.
The tuna didn't get tossed onto the deck of a boat by the whale. So the good, in my opinion, sort of made it show up rather than making her do something else.
Oh, that would have been a funny reveal, I think.
What? Oh, if it was just like on there,
and the tuna just slammed right into it and like.
It bounced up. Maybe that. Okay. And honestly,
I'm like, oh my god.
There is a part of me that wants to. We've also been hunting this tuna for a while, mostly because I've been trying out the game and like trying to get cool stuff described and whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be magical or fight other people, but it was good to keep it simple where you're on your boat kind of living your life,
Yeah.
That would be a cinematic moment. So, but let's talk about that. Let's say you, you're up on the...
clinging to the mast.
You're clinging to the mast, and you see a tuna, and you're getting ready, making your plans, and then finally you look down onto sort of the deck area, and you look again, and you can't believe it, and there's a tuna kind of flopping around. What do? It's time to get this thing, right? It's alive. It's on there. You can get it, but if it gets back on the water, you've lost it.
Oh
Absolutely.
my god. So I, dropped down as quick as I could, and,
do you throw your whole body on it, like to hold it down?
No.
This is a pretty big tuna.
I'm thinking, way too big. This thing is going
too much tuna. Far too much tuna.
They're like, I'm imagining a 500-pound fish.
Yeah, huge fish. It's way too big.
So, I mentioned that the wings were sheared off, as we saw or discussed. Ride that tuna. So, it's a new kind of rodeo. So, what instead I would have done is, built these shades. So, it's a little bit of, I'm using the old struts that were the wing, but there's, tarp.
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
So, for the moment, I would probably shove it into that, because then it's like a little hammock, and it hopefully can't just flop out. Right?
Yeah. No, and it's okay, because the other thing is, I guess the other, we have this other vessel that you're going to keep it in is probably, I don't know how they store it, but I think that they either freeze it very quickly or they keep it in water. Keep it alive. So you would have a way to freeze it.
Yeah.
You would. So I imagine, and that's the thing, now we have to come up with, and we don't really have to, but the point is you have something that can freeze it. We could, in the world, come up with what that looks like if we wanted to sort of play that part of the game.
Yeah.
But, so you have this staging area, and then, but eventually, or what are you going to do? Or maybe you were talking earlier about preparing it on the ship. Yes, so that's a good idea.
So I think what I would do is, with my hunting knife, let's say, I'm going to go ahead, and if I can get in there as fast as I can, try and get the cleanest cut just so it can bleed out.
Yeah.
And while it's doing that, I'm going to go set up my boat so that way it can autopilot back towards town.
Oh, yes, because it's like a huge wide ocean, so something like this, as long as you keep an eye on things, isn't too bad. You also probably have some sort of clever proximity sensor.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about it much because I didn't want to muddy stuff up, but I am imagining magical, fantasy-like things, but imagine things like devices you'd have on a ship, but that aren't radar, but that does the exact same thing. We got to describe it in a way that fits the world.
I figured that my character couldn't afford something like
that. Exactly. So I do. Yeah. I just wanted to say I do imagine that sort of thing in the world. Josh says I'm going to create a game called Minutia. It's like 2E, only crunchier. Crunchy like a crunchy bar.
Crunchy boy.
So I forgot what we were talking about.
I think the baseball bat is the one that has the hook.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe there's just this giant hook, just taped onto
taped onto a baseball bat. Yeah. So you have the tuna. and you're going to prepare it, right? So you were saying you drain the blood out.
So it's draining. I'm gonna set up the ship to just start heading to port, so that way I can clean it, and I'm gonna probably just do that on the top of my ship.
Now. Sort of. There's like a deck area. Yeah, the poop deck, which is really just the highest deck on any ship. I learned. So you're on the poop deck. You're on the poop with the pooples. They really call it that. I'm gonna have to start normalizing that for the game because that's what it's called, everybody. Pooples. It's the poop snicker deck. It's just gonna be that every single time. So you get this thing, you drain the blood, and now you're preparing it. Who are you gonna sell this to? Let me say this. You know somebody back home. You have an idea of who's gonna buy it, but you're not.
I need to give some of it actually to the person who loaned me the box.
Okay, you owe multiple people sort of a part of the take. Even though you're doing it in a sense, you're like you convinced a few people to help you prior to get it, and you owe them. So in a sense, if you lose this, you owe them and don't have any money to pay them. Also, important thing to consider that if anything happens to this tuna. But you're heading back to port. You're preparing this. You end up gutting it, right? You probably take all the, I don't know how gutting a fish works. You take all the innards out. You cut it up.
And I just let them slide off the top.
Right. You're just driving, go in the water or whatever. Probably not a lot of worth in keeping them. But so
for now, I'm gonna say no.
Oh, exactly. So
you sell it to Evelyn Gordon.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So maybe you are. So I mean, you get the tuna. And as you put it in the cold box, you begin preparing it on the way to port, and you see the peoples on the horizon.
They're a lot closer now.
Right? They are closer, and you hear a whistle. You hear like a sound, and this is the way these people communicate with each other.
But I can't whistle.
Tones. You can't whistle. No, they actually have as part of their culture. They have these. Basically whistle makers. It's there's a word for that, but like a thing passed down, making whistles. It's like an artisanal craft. I don't know what you call it, but they make these whistles, and they're different tones. They mean different things, like at sea. Yeah. Imagine that these people are like Spartans were in the way that they are raised to be warriors on the water. Okay. And that's part of why they're so bad. Kind of think barbarian stuff like that. Totally civilized people. It's just that they are raised to kill you. If you are not part of their group. Yeah, like they're just... the out-group. And sometimes they have treaties with people and that's okay, but they are the aggressive ones. You know what I mean? They're the ones that, like, if you have a treaty with them, you don't trust it entirely. Yeah. Because sometimes they break it because they want to. You hear these whistles. And you hear one, and you hear another one that's a different tone, and you know that's another ship. And then you hear another one, and you realize that they are between you and the port. Correct. Like, in a sense, you realize that they will be able to head you off because of where they were whistling ahead to say that someone was on the way and that they had good cargo. Yeah. You know, if you were able to decode that language, that's what you would have heard, a very simple message of, one vessel heading whatever your heading is, with good cargo, whatever. What if I could put up a sign, something to try and dissuade them, let's say? Well, here's the important thing. They're still pretty far away. Yeah. And it's... You have a little bit of time. Well, I was going to suggest, I wanted to put up a signal, a flag that says, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it. There's no good cargo here. Okay. A bluff, I guess. So, let me say this. We're at an hour, and I was trying to find a way to wrap up on a cliffhanger. I know. That's okay. That might be it. And that's the thing. That is okay, but I do want to hear what you have to say. So you can at least tell me what you would do, or if you want, we can keep going. What do you think? Do you want to start winding down, or do you want to... Okay, that's fine. That's what I was expecting. We usually go about an hour. That's perfect. So we'll start winding down, but I want to hear what... Because if you think about it, what you described was what bugs do. Yeah. I'm not worth it. Thing is, there's no flag that tells you it's not worth it. You have to make it clear that you're not worth it. How are you going to do that? Here's the thing. Why can't a flag work? If there's whistles, why can't there be a flag system? Signal system? No. There can be. Okay. They see a flag that says I'm not worth it, and they go, oh, they're definitely worth it. Yeah. You see what I mean? If it's literally a flag, that's not going to work. You got to do something that's going to work. What would you do to make it seem like you're not worth it? What if it was a flag from my town, but that symbolized that, I come from a poor place? Well, that's okay. Maybe. There's not much here. So what happens is... Maybe. All right. You look in You run below deck, and
Yeah.
you open a chest, and there's a bunch of flags in it, and you're going through. What flag are you looking for? What would make them not want to attack?
It would have to be something that would scare them, but
Scare them,
I'm
or-
small. I don't look it. I'm a
That's the thing.
you know?
Maybe there's something in the world that they don't attack. What would that be? The warrior people, what do they observe, right? If we do think Spartans, we think they're very religious.
Josh had a good
Okay,
one.
okay, yeah.
Said some sort of sailor's disease. That's perfect.
Okay, that is good, but that's a hard sell.
Yeah.
Because you would say that right now. That's okay. We can try that. Here's the thing.
That's a way to save your person, maybe.
What I realized is we have a lot of ideas, and
Yeah.
what you're going to do, we don't know how well any of them will work, but we know some of them might. I need you to roll to see what flag you eventually find.
Okay.
Right? You're looking through,
All
and
right.
some are helpful, and you know some, but we're not gonna necessarily say every single one that's in there. But do you find a good one, a neutral one, or a bad one? And we'll decide what that means.
Oh,
at
it's
the
a
time.
2.
Okay, 2. So here's the thing. I didn't decide what you were gonna roll
Okay.
yet, but I need to. This would be knowledge, or this would be mind intuition. So I think I gave you a 2 earlier. We're gonna add a 2 to that. So you got a 4.
Okay.
4 is still bad.
Yeah.
So that is an unnatural bad, which I think is less important, but it matters to me, right? Even with a bonus, it was still bad, is what that
Okay.
means. It's like a critical miss, but not really. What that means is you do find something that says maybe, and there were a lot of good examples. We'll say go ahead.
I think it would mean it's a harder bluff. So
Yes.
maybe it's a flag that's from something that they respect and they would stay away from.
That would be great, but I would see that as being a good thing. I would see this being more like something like medical ship or sailor's disease, because it's a harder bluff.
I feel like it would be a harder bluff if my flag said that I'm from some hoity-toity place that's better than you, when I am a frickin' broken down plane boat. Like, I am one person,
I see what you mean.
you know?
I see what you're saying.
That kind of bluff. No, I'm this big scary guy. You don't want to mess with
And
me.
I guess that's
like
the
I'm
thing.
a
No
chihuahua
matter what, it seems
against
like
a Great
they're gonna.
Dane.
Yeah, it seems like no matter what. Oh yeah, Pigbug says you pulled out a pirate flag by accident. Well, but no. Okay, so here's the thing. I see what it is part of the game. Remember,
Yeah.
it's a conversation.
Yes.
I love it. So because they're gonna get close enough to you to try to decide, right? And that's why I liked. Okay, we're gonna put a pin in the infected idea, because that's a good reason to tell someone not to come on your boat. So start thinking about what you have on you that might make it look like you could convince somebody you're infected. Maybe there's a common disease that you can fake some way. Put that in your pocket. That's okay. So
Yeah, I don't know.
you run up a flag
moment.
of something religious, somebody. Maybe it is somebody they have a treaty with. Maybe that's part of what it is it's somebody you know them to have a treaty with, but it's been a long time since you've been to land, and you don't know if they're at war again, and they go to war with a lot of people.
Maybe like they raid a lot of places, so there's a tentative treaty with my small town or something.
Yeah.
It could be something like that. And
but I like that the flag you found is not for your town.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So, but if you think about it, what that means is the flag you raise,
Yeah.
they should be careful, but they also might think you're lying.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Because just like you said, this would also be the flag. You'd have to have a really good story as to why your ship looks like crap.
Okay.
Right? So that's the thing. So now, what color is this flag? I'm imagining it's purple.
Sure.
I don't know why. Purple, and it has... that's Rome.
It's hard to see.
Purple and with but it's like a country flag. We're seeing it from far away. You know exactly what it is.
Purple and gold diagonals.
Yeah,
Let's
like
just
it
do
has
that.
to have something. Purple and gold diagonals. 3 days later, Cassie gets her jeans out of the washer. Crap, I left the infected flag in my pocket. If you say you're infected, can you still bring in your cargo? That's another really good example, Cole. If you were to put up an infected flag and somebody at a port saw you, they might bring that up.
Yeah.
Just as like part of the game.
Yes.
Dang it, she got the fresh tuna in your flag. Pigpug, I like the medical ship concept too, humanitarian vessel thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd care about that. But that would be me as the GM. Like, I want the game to be a little further apart than it is now. We're talking a little bit. We were working it out, but in the real rules, I would not say as much of this stuff and try to build more tension. But that's not a bad thing at all. It's more a different style.
Yeah.
This is a lot more collaborative. That's okay. So, put up the flag. Yeah, go ahead.
Put up the flag. There's also, what if I am, instead I see all these ships and I'm like, well, I know they're going to come here.
Yeah,
so
right,
I'm going to
what's
put
your
up instead maybe a friendly flag saying, hey, I am not an aggressor. Like, please don't shoot me.
And
like,
and that's the main thing.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing you would have, is like hey, I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for trouble.
For trouble.
These particular people do not care.
Okay.
And it's part of the world that you know that, because
so we'll
the point is like,
yes,
you'd have to go with the bluff. Exactly. Like, in a sense, from a narrative standpoint, I am making it clear to you, there's no point.
Okay.
You're going to have to... You could trick them into making them think that you are part of a town they really shouldn't attack, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of the dumb bully that you can convince you have a lot of money.
So...
You know what I mean? Or, like, that's a bad example, but you know what I mean.
This is a go-to for me, but maybe I've put up a flag instead that says I'm part of a research station that is... I don't know. It's from a research station. Some other entity.
What I imagine is somebody is going to call out to you, and you're going to have to explain yourself.
Yeah.
Because they'll see it, and they'll do the risk assessment. They'll be like, we know we shouldn't, but we also know that we like attacking, so they're going to find any reason they can, right?
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing. I'm just letting you know. Basically, it's going to be on you to sell the illusion. That's not me convincing you shouldn't. I'm just saying, whatever you do, you're going to have to tell somebody, so try to think of ways you would sell it. Like in Bob's Burgers when they set up the church. It's like flimsy, but it kind of can be. It's okay if you're like, no, I'm a fishing boat, and you have one crappy net that has, like, it's broken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I have this unsuspicious tuna right here.
Well, and that's probably hidden somewhere, right? If they get on the boat and find the tuna.
By the time that they get there, I would have hidden it in its little ice box. And I say little. It's big. I would hide it. Cover it with something.
Yeah, exactly. It's below deck. Like, somebody said you had good cargo, but whoever they called forward to, they don't even know if you're the ship. Like, there's a lot of things that could be lost, but any conversation with the people that are, there could end in tragedy.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
You are on your way there. You raise, we don't even maybe know what flag. Maybe next time, if we continue this, you'll decide what flag it is. Next time on...
Unsuspecting Spouse RPGs.
Next time on Unsuspecting Spouse RPGs, we'll see what happens with the peoples.
With the pooples.
The pooples. That's, like I said, that's what kids call them. So,
they call them these days.
We're gonna wrap up. What did you think? What would you change? Let's say that.
Sometimes I found it when I didn't have an idea of the ship in mind, so trying to piece that together was a little challenging. Like, I definitely stuttered at the start. When it came to that. Once we got into all the other stuff, the more story stuff and less physical construction, I had a good time.
Yeah, and I think it was a mistake, and I've said this before, and then I fell into the trap, to decide to try to get on the same page about something so specific.
Yeah.
It's better if we just say things that are true about it. It has a yoke. It has sails. It has, and then you can describe doing something with the sails, and I can, and it never has to be in the same place in our minds.
Got it.
And I forgot about that at the beginning, so that's a really good call.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Let's see. I actually like that I wasn't sad that I was just going to go fish tuna, and it actually kind of was drawn out.
Exactly, because I imagined actually that would go a little faster, but I did stretch it out to, like, just see what we could do, because in my opinion, even though I picked a random example that we didn't really look up on Wikipedia or anything, you got to live that life a little bit. You would then eventually get up to antics. But in a sense, I like that you get to live the life and get up to the antics, because that makes it more fun when we just get to meet your character a little here. Yeah. If I had more... Oh, go ahead.
I don't know if you get to meet the character without having any people interactions, though. We didn't start in a town. We started alone.
And I think that's okay. And I didn't want to harp on this much, and certainly because it depends on the comfort level of the players. But what I imagine is like the way I would try to play the game. And I could have done this a little bit more, too.
Yeah.
Almost like buying in a little bit more and describing it like a story. Like saying, when I was telling you, oh, okay, now you're, tying up the rope, you would say things about your character. Mero reaches, across with her right hand to grab her.
So I didn't tell you, but I was doing it first person.
Oh, and no, that's okay. And that works too. But to say it first person, but the idea would be that you would describe those little things you're doing, and we rolled a couple of times. You did a few things, but it was more like we talked about what you would do. I want a little bit more of you. Like, not even necessarily from you, like I said, in the game. I don't want it to sound like I'm telling you what you did wrong.
I know.
But just like post-mortem stuff. The point is, I basically want each character to be able to take the full reins as much as they want and say, I look through the scope as they're running over the wasteland, and I pause for a moment, remembering my whatever. And like, take a little moment and in that way meet the character to say, to talk about the weapon your character has so that when you pull it out later in the bar, it makes sense. Like, do what they do in a movie. And we didn't talk about this, and I kind of was discovering this as we went, but instead of saying, my name's this and I do this and I have this, you would go, you see somebody across the bar and, they order this type of drink and they down it without making a face, showing your character. You were hoping
for, that kind of introduction.
And not really hoping, but, that's the way I would want to eventually work up to playing.
Got it.
And without preparing stuff, both of us, you break away from that a lot. I think that's maybe the preparation level. So that's neither here nor there, really. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it would be fun for this to let future players definitely have, if they are going to have a vehicle like Pigpug says here, have that on the character sheet. Have that description ready.
I do think that's important.
Have your intro script ready.
Yeah, and then I think that
it would be fun.
Yes, for a ship in the type of game I'm imagining with multiple people, you would decide beforehand so that would be something that you do say. There's this room and there's this room, and you would want to be able to describe that actually.
Yeah.
So I do love that idea. It is very important because I imagine it's a place the players often find themselves. But yeah, so that's why we mix gaming and making up a game and making up a world.
Yeah.
And there are some parts I could do with a little less of. We got caught up on the ship. Some parts I could do a little more of, like I said, some more descriptions. But that's why I also want to come up with tools that allow us to give better descriptions. And we didn't really do that either. So I agree with a lot of that. We're really, like I said, as far as the prep level, if we played again, we would be able to build on everything we talked about, and it would be a little more fluid, a little faster, and even this conversation, you'd have a little more of an idea of what I was looking for. So yeah, I think that's really cool.
Josh, how do you guys feel about RP? Because I know I have no problem with it.
And it's funny because so Josh famously always talks about how his group likes crunch, and actually, Josh, if you could expound on that a little bit. Well, he's like, my group doesn't really do that. Is it that they don't role-play their characters and they just play the game, or is it that they like the mechanics of it? I've always kind of wondered. So, if you do eventually hear this question and could respond, when you say that, what is...
At your leisure.
Yeah, what part of it is the part of it that they don't do? Is it that they don't speak as their characters or say what they're doing, or is it that they just are so important about, I move 5 feet and I hit you?
Yeah, I feel like... I wonder if, certainly as a newer to D&D than James is, it's hard to see myself as, third person describing a character. First person definitely feels a little bit easier.
And I think it's exactly. It's kind of never part of the rules that what you have to do or how you have to do it, in a sense, that, first person or third person, but it's more that what I would want from you in the first person is to say, I pull out my special dagger. We would eventually get into a rhythm where in each scene, and remember we talked about the 3 things you would say, that, where it's you say one thing about your character, one thing about the scene, and one thing about the whatever, and you always kind of have a little bit of a cheat to be able to say it that way, whatever.
Yeah.
So we're going to end here. I think that was really cool. Thank you everybody for joining us. Hopefully this was fun. We kind of did something boring, but this was kind of the first playtest of the game I'm working on that's going to potentially power a lot of worlds, but in this case, the Enemies of All Mankind. And even though we just hunted a tuna, I think it was still kind of fun, and we got to say a lot about the world.
I mean, we did. I followed a fisherman, basically, tried to follow where the tuna is going. Ended up finding mackerel with the secret school, basically. So that means the tuna fishermen probably aren't finding any tuna
Exactly,
right now.
Absolutely.
I had a whale run into me, and there's, pirates or whatever on the horizon. Oh, no, what's going to happen next episode? All in all, I think it was good,
Yeah. So that was a whole lot of fun, and I just love living in a world like that. And then we can throw stuff. You know what I mean? It's almost like you start mundane and you ramp up.
Yes.
And that makes the ramp up more fun, and it just gives you drawing the things out. I would even, when we have a better idea of the situations, love for people to describe how they do certain things, the tying of the knots or picking a lock or doing gutting of the fish. They would have a little scene like that, and maybe they could flashback. There would also be more helpful things to look at on people's character sheets to allow you to do that more easily.
Yeah,
stuff
and
like
then
that.
There's how often do you do that? Do you want a character building scene every time they go and gut a fish or do some mundane task, like that could slow the game down.
So exactly, and so not really, but it's more that you would pick and choose, because it's only at the beginning that the tasks are mundane, but you would do the same things when you're in combat, for example.
Okay.
So it's the same level of description.
I know we were going to say goodbye, and then I realized I was like, oh man, this is a good question.
And that's okay. But, so, we won't, thank you for giving me the look that's like, hey, we just said we were, and I asked you a question, and I know I shouldn't have done that.
I did it.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Cassie and I love streaming. We love world building and just making stuff. And we love it when everybody joins and we have a great time and we throw stuff out there. When this game firms up a little more, I definitely also want to play with more people and do this more where Cassie and I do it. And potentially in a world where we poll the viewers for more things. Because I was making up so much and we were just randomly doing it, I didn't really have a lot to ask or, but in the future we might do the same thing and kind of make it even more collaborative. So thank you everybody for joining us, and I guess have a wonderful rest of your Saturday is the day that today is.
Catchphrase.
Catchphrase. Goodbye everybody. Thanks so much.